Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made a surprise statement today that his country had not yet received enough Western armored vehicles to launch a counteroffensive. U.S. and other allies have said repeatedly in recent days that Ukraine has what it needs, including 98% of promised armored vehicles. Nick Schifrin examines what the West says it's provided and what it still plans to deliver in the near future, including the most advanced tank in the world, the Abrams, to help Ukraine recapture occupied territory.
The tank is described as a steel beast. More than any other military vehicle, it provides firepower, protection, and speed. Ukraine didn't have Western tanks a year ago. It does now.
Thank you very much from Ukraine.
British Challenger tanks, and more than 1,550 French, German, Polish, and other Western armored vehicles, enough for more than 9 armored combat brigades with some 30,000 soldiers. The U.S. has provided more than 1,300 armored vehicles, including Bradleys, Strykers, and mine-resistant troop vehicles. And it will provide 31 M1A1 Abrams tanks set for delivery by the end of the year.
I think it's clear that it's sort of the engineering marvel of the tank world, if you will.
Retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel Michael Purcell has extensive combat experience with Abrams tanks. He's also a Russia expert who's helped U.S. efforts to transform Ukraine's military from its Soviet origins to Western trained and equipped that will culminate in Ukraine's upcoming counteroffensive using what the U.S. calls combined arms.
It's the integration of all arms, right? So aviation, ideally, armor. In this case, a tank is hard to replace. And then, of course, infantry, along with what they call the king of the battlefield, artillery. And when we talk about combined arms, we think hard about putting the enemy or the opposing force into a dilemma, in the sense that if they move, they're going to be exposed to artillery fires or aviation fires. If they stay put, we're pushing forward closer to their location in order to gain an advantage. Easier said than done.
The Abrams, to me, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, tank on the battlefield. And to me has saved my butt more time than once.
Retired Master Gunner First Sergeant David Gonzalez has 23 years of experience in the Abrams, from tank driver to tank commander to master gunner and subject matter expert. He fought in Iraq in 1991 and again in 2003 and 2004. He says compared to Russia's best tanks currently in Ukraine, the Abrams offers a gun that's stabilized, providing greater firepower on the move and better optics, especially at night.
You could see a cigarette several miles away, and we could see how many people or how many enemy would come out of their trenches at night to smoke. And that's when we would then pinpoint and maneuver against the enemy to capture them in large amounts.
The Abrams ammunition is stored in a locker behind a sliding door, as seen in these videos posted by tankers. If hit, the ammunition is designed to explode upward through panels to channel the blast outside. Meanwhile, it can be loaded in seconds, although not always. And the Abrams has faster acceleration and reverse speed than most other tanks, but its engine is both asset and liability. It gets 1/4 of a mile per gallon, and as seen in this professional animation, the turbine engine in the rear is similar to a jet engine and runs best off jet fuel.
It's going to be a huge team effort to keep that thing functional on the battlefield and make sure that it is successful.
In fact, the Abrams can be so difficult to maintain, senior U.S. defense officials oppose sending them, including Colin Kahl, Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, in January.
And the challenge with the Abrams is it's expensive, it's difficult to train on, it is very difficult to sustain, it has a huge complicated turbine engine that requires jet fuel, and frankly, our assessment is just that the Abrams is not the right capability at this time.
At least until 5 days later.
Today, I'm announcing that the United States will be sending 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine because it will enhance the Ukraine's capacity to defend its territory and achieve its strategic objectives.
It's like owning a Ducati. It's got a lot of expensive parts. It is a gas turbine engine, and a lot of proprietary systems, they're inherent specifically into the Abrams.
Former Staff Sergeant Paul Klock was a tank driver, gunner, loader, and commander during an 8-year Army career and created a defense analysis organization called Tankers.
The turbine engine is going to be one of the most complicated parts of this thing. It's going to have special seals. It's going to need to be serviced continuously. It's one of those things that's going to require a specialized facility to maintain some of the certain parts of it. So it's got a phenomenal optics package, but that optics package, if something goes wrong with it, it is expensive to replace.
It sounds like you're worried about whether it's going to be sustainable for the Ukrainians.
Indeed. There are a lot of different sensors and proprietary systems that can fail. It's a robust tank, but it needs maintenance.
In a battle drill, you need horsepower.
The Abrams tank was produced in the late 70s and early 80s and appeared in Army recruiting ads. It was designed to counter the Soviet Union, but its first real test came in 1991 during Operation Desert Storm, when the United States kicked the Iraqi military out of Kuwait. Now, the Abrams will supplement Ukraine's mostly Soviet-era tanks that are more than twice the age of some of their tankers, as we saw in February.
They are old, and because they are old, they break all the time. You don't have confidence that your tank is going to work tomorrow. For us to advance, we need new weaponry.
And with their new weaponry, Ukraine's military will have to achieve its most difficult task yet, overrunning well-fortified Russian soldiers across a huge front.
Napoleon supposedly said, the moral is to the physical as 3 is to 1. So the idea, if you're Ukrainian fighting for your life and your family and your homeland, that you've got the American flag, you've got the Swedish flag, you've got the German flag, represented by the equipment you're operating, and that is a significant psychological boost in my mind.
Whether that boost translates into physical gains could help determine the war's fate. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nick Schifrin.